What up, Broncos country? We is live. Finally, man. The final preseason game is done. We can look forward to figuring it out what the 53-man roster on this team is going to look like and really start getting fired up for the Broncos opening game against the Tennessee Titans, man. So, kind of breaking it all down here. Looks like the Broncos, they got to win 28-19 against the Saints. They went 3-0 in the preseason. Does it matter? Not really, right? But this was kind of a strange game, man. A little bit weird. A lot of things that I was thinking maybe we would like to see, or maybe some clarity on a few of those final 53-man roster decisions. I don't know if we got them. It seemed like it was just strange. I mean, obviously these preseason games go by really quickly because teams aren't really burning their timeouts. They're not, punting a lot. They're kind of just going for it on fourth and letting the play run. But I just didn't feel like the Broncos as a whole, their offense got a lot of snaps, right? I was hoping to see a little bit more from, more carries from Estime, who actually looked very, very good today, and Blake Watson, who unfortunately got injured. So that's some things we're going to talk about as well. And yeah, another kind of strange thing that I kind of noticed too was, we didn't see any of those receivers after the fifth receiver. We saw a lot of Pat Bryant. Pat Bryant played quite a bit today, which was scary. But luckily, he came out of there clean. But, Courtney Jackson didn't play much at all. Joaquin Davis didn't play until way late in the fourth. A.T. Perry wasn't there until way late, and he didn't play a whole lot of snaps. He's wearing the hoodie, so you can tell he's just trying to get himself back into shape too. So I don't really think that there's a lot more clarity after today's game, to be completely honest with you. And that's kind of what I was hoping to see from that. But love to know what you guys think in the comments, man, about the game. Did anything stand out to you? I would say my initial thoughts, more than anything, is some guys that really stood out to me were first and foremost in the running back room. I thought Audric Estime looked really good. He looked confident. He looked a lot less hesitant. He should have looked good against the third and the fourth stringers of the Saints, but he did, which was nice. And Adam Prentice is going to be one of those really interesting players to monitor as well, because the running game looked a lot better with having a legitimate fullback out there. I know that and when you see that Mike Kliss had him projected on his 53-man roster, it's kind of eye-opening. I know that also Darren Rizzi loves him. I know that Sean Payton loves to have a tight end. So those are some things to kind of look to as well in the as the 53-man roster comes together. Couple guys that popped. So we'll go through all of them, but I would say, Kyrie's Rowan, man, kudos to him. It was nice to see him out there making plays. Looks a lot like Philip Lindsay, just a different number with the hair. But he was out there. He looked good, man. And that was cool to see. Like I said, I don't foresee his chances of making the 53 to be good at all. But nice to see him out there for his confidence, coming out of Utah State. You heard him kind of flashing here and there. He's a different style of receiver. Seems to be a very much a slot kind of a guy, which is great. So I think he could be a really good practice squad candidate. Tyler Bidet was out there just making plays. They gave him one opportunity on a kick return, and all he did was look really good. Or I think he had two, but he looked really good for both of them. And yeah, two kick returns for 72 yards. One of them being a 47-yarder. He's good in the pass game. He's good as a pass protector. He's obviously a lock on this team. Q Robinson with a strip sack was a beautiful thing to see. There was a lot of guys that are making this team that I think look good. Some of the bubble guys, like somebody that popped out to me initially, I'll have to go back in and kind of see if this was the case, but I thought Frank Crum looked a lot better. He seems to have made a lot of strides as a pass protector. Again, don't really know who he's going up against, the quality of the players, but he seemed a lot more comfortable in that aspect. So that was really cool to see. Otherwise, again, just a kind of a strange game, like D-Rock says. Overall, a pretty good game. The first team, I think, had a lot of people in Broncos country as a whole a little bit, probably a little bit nervous, right? Which, it's funny because I always say before the games, and I try to remind myself during these preseason games. I said it before. I said, regardless of what the Broncos first team offense does, it does not matter going into, like, it's not going to affect week one at all. And I believe that. And so when the Broncos offense, they went 3 and out, it looked really bad. And then they looked a little bit shaky, but they still got a field goal. I thought, okay, they'll be done for the day. Like, who cares? Let's move on. When they brought him back out for a third drive, I was really nervous. Last thing that you want, man, is a starter getting injured on the last drive of an unnecessary drive of the preseason. But luckily for them, they put together a really good drive. They responded. They went down the field. They got a score. I think Bo Nix looked really good. Talk about getting some rust off and just kind of getting his feet underneath them. He was manipulating the pocket really well, which I liked. Sorry, these things are dirty. And Cortland Sutton, obviously, he bounced back. So for the overall confidence of the team, I think it's one of those things where it's like, when you're shooting hoops in your backyard, you don't want to end the day of shooting hoops on a miss, right? So they were able to kind of go out of the preseason with a hit, with a touchdown drive. That's cool. But again, I don't think it has any kind of an effect on the team as they prepare for week 1. This is obviously, and still in a couple weeks anyways. But yeah, it was cool, man. And yes, D-Rock, thank you. Thank you for saying this, my man. The play calls were very vanilla, very much so. You can tell there were just certain things that they were trying to work on. But my biggest concern, I would say, and it was a concern after the San Fran game, and again, it was a concern today with the ones specifically, is the O-line seemed like, man, it both seemed like he was under duress a lot more than we were used to seeing. Now, again, we have to remind ourselves, Zach Strief, there's a lot of reports that say he likes to tell his linemen, try as many different things as you can during the preseason to see what works and what doesn't work. So that's kind of where that is. So we will see. Otherwise, yeah, overall, it was a really interesting game. I thought on the inside linebacker position being another positional group where it's like, you're going to have 2, 3, 4 guys maybe that end up making it late. I don't know. I don't think anybody necessarily popped enough. So it was one of those where you're kind of hoping to see a big step from somebody. I would say, I don't know if anybody did enough to change whatever the decision was prior to this game overall, right? But again, these guys are also playing to be able to make the roster of other teams, other guys as well, other organizations. So you never know what can go out there. I'm putting together my 53-man roster, man, and I'm having such a difficult time with it. So I'll hopefully have it done by today or tomorrow and make a video on that. Because I do like the predictions just to kind of see where. But I feel like I can see a situation where we look at getting a depth interior offensive lineman from another team. I just don't think it's good enough. And there was a scene caught earlier it was like a bad sequence of event by the backup line, specifically on the interior, and Sean Payton kind of just looked disgusted. So I think he wants to have somebody a little bit more solid in there. Again, we can't forget that we got Throckmorton, but still, it wasn't good enough. In terms of any Tuesday cuts that may be a shocker to Broncos country, the only ones at this point, it's like, what's really a shocker, right? I mean, Vele got traded for a 4th rounder. I think getting a 4th rounder for him was a little bit of a shocker. But PJ Locke, man, there is a chance. I right now, I don't think I have him on my 53. I would personally love for him to make the team, but it's such a crowded room. Are you really going to keep 5 safeties? It just almost seems like it doesn't make sense. And maybe Sam Franklin Jr. gets cut. Maybe he hasn't shown enough as the special teams ace. Or maybe there's other guys that stepped up that are just as good and just as valuable special teams wise, or maybe he doesn't make it. I think JL Skinner is definitely making this team. I think Hufanga and Brandon Jones. So, Devin Key, we know that the coaching staff kind of likes him. It makes it a very crowded room there. So maybe PJ Locke. Again, I don't like that idea. I always am for keeping guys like him. But, another thing that you have to think about with PJ is you're saving about $4 million by moving on from him too. So it's a pretty significant savings, especially with the Nick Bonito contract, on the horizon. I think it's going to get done before the season in the next week or so. And, you just wait for all of these different cuts to go through so you can kind of balance the books, see where you're at. You want to have a certain amount of money allocated for injuries and stuff like that. And then, you can make that signing. So I think we're going to do something with Singleton's contract, maybe a redo it to lower the cap and give him a little bit more guaranteed money than if we outright cut him, because we're not going to cut him. And then, PJ Locke, same thing. It's going to be interesting there. I think he could be somebody that could be the surprise on Tuesday. So we'll have to see with that, man. We're going to have to figure that out. But again, I mean, listen, there's some people that are really panicking right now about Jeremy Crawshaw. I don't know why anyone would panic about a punter. I get it. In all the games, he has not looked good. But by all accounts, in the reports that when he's punting, at practice, he's got an immense amount of talent. He has a lot of really, really great punts. He still is inconsistent. Sure, you want to see him get better doing it in the games, but man, I ain't overall worried about. I'm not very worried about a punter ever. Hopefully, best case scenario, we're not using the punter very much, but there are always going to be those games and those moments in games where you're going to need your punter to have a really good punt. And so we're just going to have to see with him. But if Darren Rizzi believes in him, if this coaching staff believes in him, they've given us no reason to overall worry. Victory Lap, what's going on, my man? How you doing, bro? And Michael, appreciate you, Brian. Appreciate the retweet. I didn't even know it tells you if somebody reposted the stream here in the comments, but very, very much appreciate that. But yeah, man, and then another thing too, like this running back room is interesting. There's a lot of dominoes, and that's what's kind of fun about predicting this 53-man roster is like it really is like a big puzzle, right? Are the Broncos going to keep three quarterbacks? Right? I thought Sam Ehlinger played well today. It was cool. I was really happy that they actually kept Stidham out. I think he got plenty of work in the offseason, so there was no reason for him to play, but also shows how valuable he is. They didn't want to risk any sort of injury with him too as the premium backup. So Sam Ehlinger, I thought, made some plays. I thought he looked good, but I don't know. Keeping taking a third roster spot with a quarterback doesn't always make the most sense. And in the running back position too, right? You're going to have 4. It seems like there's going to be 4. And then, it starts to become a numbers game. I thought, I will say this actually, from what I noticed. I thought Lucas Kroll did enough today to deserve a spot on the 53. I thought he looked really good. He continued to kind of stack good days. He had a really good second half of the offseason, right? A lot of reports that he was struggling early on, kind of got better, showed a little bit of those flashes in games. Thought he played really well today. Made a lot of, tough catches. His blocking was better. I think he did enough to be the third tight end. But there's also going to be Atkins. Atkins is going to make this team as well. So, I don't think he's going to go on to practice squad quite yet. Onto IR is what I mean. Because Sean Payton kind of talked about it. He said he's way too valuable for this team. Again, I think Nate Atkins is going to be the new little Jordan Humphrey of this team. He's just very much beloved. So are you going to roll with 4 tight ends to start the season? I think you absolutely could. So that really shakes the numbers up. And if you wanted to keep Lucas Kroll because you feel like he's still a guy with a lot of potential in the tight end room, he probably won't be active on game days, but he's still going to be an asset to your team, then, maybe you only do keep 5 receivers or you only do keep 2 quarterbacks. And that's where it becomes to get a little bit interesting. So yeah, man, that's going to be fun. I think, like I said, if you add Atkins, so I'll kind of show you guys like where I'm at now. I think if you add Atkins, share this tab, go ahead. So this is kind of where I'm at now, right? And obviously I had this after my A.T. Perry video, and I'm still like so back and forth with this. I get it. He's been injured. He hasn't really done much this offseason. Today was really just a conditioning, get yourself some reps, see how you look coming off of, I think it was a knee injury or something afterwards. But it's one of those where, do you want to go with 5 wide receivers, all of them active on game day, or do you always want to have a 6th receiver? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're okay with losing A.T. Perry, but this is going to be an interesting one because if you remove him, right, then you can add another quarterback, or if you replace him with another receiver, you remove one. Or maybe you could just go with 2 quarterbacks, 5 wide receivers, and then a 10th offensive lineman, somebody like a vet from another team type of a thing. That would make sense to go with 10 O linemen. I think that might be a buzzkill. But we'll see. I'm going to make quite a bit of changes to this, and we'll see what ends up ultimately working out. But that's kind of where I'm at now a little bit. So we'll figure it out, man. I think it's going to be a fun couple of days. It's always tough. I mean, you really do feel bad for a lot of these guys. They just busted their ass for a few months, worked their ass off to try to earn a roster spot. And many of these guys not only will not make the team, not make the practice squad, but they might not ever play football again, and that's always tough. But it's also a time of the year where a lot of action happens, man. I'm gonna be scouring the waiver wire to see, what guys are available, what veteran players are available elsewhere, who else we can bring in. It's always interesting, and there's always, I think, a little bit of those surprises, right? Last year we lost the receiver to the Bills that we had cut that we wanted to get back on our practice squad, and I'm blanking on his name. He was kind of that deep threat guy. Somebody can help me out in the comments. Let me know. But it's like on the tip of my tongue. I think he wore number like 15 or 17. I think he was 15 actually. Oh, I think his last name starts with a V. This is going to drive me nuts. I always forget names. But, we thought we were going to be able to get him onto the practice squad. And he ended up getting picked up by the Bills, which was surprising because I didn't really feel like he was like that good of a player, but they found interest in him. So you never know who's going to actually get claimed, who's going to make it through. Like, I made this assumption that I think A.T. Perry of the, all the receivers that we have that we know are not going to make the team, he has the highest chance of getting claimed elsewhere, but that might not be the case at all. You might have teams that are looking for young, raw players that they can kind of mold into their system and coach them up and develop in the way that they want. So it's going to be interesting too. I will say something to maybe look out for. This is like a note that don't be surprised if this happened. But there's a possibility that the Broncos could go with 6 corners on this team. Because I liked a lot of what I've seen from some of the undrafted corners, Jaden Robinson specifically. I thought he's shown a lot of really good film, some good football. I kind of dig what he's been able to do. So he could be somebody that could sneak in there along with Joshua Pickett. I feel like if they like one of those guys a lot and they want to make sure they have ample depth in the cornerback room, one of those guys could sneak on. And I think that they put enough on film to get a lot of interest from other teams, no doubt about it. So that's something to kind of keep your eyes open to as potential players that could maybe sneak their way on the 53 that no one's really thinking about. Otherwise, man, I'd love to know what you guys how you feeling about the next couple of weeks. Obviously, leading into the Tennessee game, there's a lot to talk about. I feel like with Tennessee. But we'll do that at a different time. We're not gonna jump ahead too much. But that is absolutely something that I'm very much looking forward to. But again, man, we'll see. We'll see what ends up ultimately going on with this final 53-man roster. But yeah, again, very strange game. Another guys too, man. Like the inside linebacker position, I think is going to be one to really keep an eye out for too, because I liked a lot of what Jordan Turner has shown, right? I think David had a really good film review breakdown. Be sure to check that out if you haven't on David Talks Broncos' channel. He had a really good review of Jordan Turner. He really popped. And again, you can see he's flying around out there. I think Karene Reed has shown a lot of really good stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see, who makes the bottom end of that roster there. And if maybe there's a couple guys that they don't want to potentially miss out on. Some of those guys I think can definitely be playing for other teams in the NFL as well. But yeah, man, what do you guys think? I'm curious if any of you guys feel like Audric Estime did enough to make the decision very difficult. Obviously, the Blake Watson injury sucks, happened on special teams. It didn't look very good, man. He looked like he was in a lot of pain, and he was kind of limping up, but he was walking with his head down. It almost seemed like he knew that it was something that was pretty serious. And that sucks because I love Blake Watson. I always have. Super unfortunate. So obviously now the decision comes down to like, are you going to keep a 5th running back? Because I feel like the top 4 guys are set in stone. I really do. I think it's obviously going to be RJ and JK and Tyler Bidet and Jaleel McLaughlin. But maybe, just maybe, because Estime brings such a different style of running, of running, the physical short yardage guy, do the Broncos take a chance and move on from Bidet, or hope that Bidet can make it onto the practice squad? Because he has consistently over the last few years. But maybe there's a team now that's like, dude, this dude can do everything. So I personally think there's no way Tyler Bidet doesn't make the 53 at this point. But another interesting thing, they could go with 5 running backs. You really never know. So yeah, it's going to be fun to watch, man. Curious what you guys think, but appreciate y'all tuning in, man. I wanted to make this a really short kind of live stream just to interact with you guys. We had about 42 people watching, so appreciate all you guys tuning in. Everybody, D-Rock, Victory Lap, Michael, all you guys in the chat. Appreciate y'all, and go out, enjoy your Saturday, man. Hopefully you guys spend it with those that you love the most. And until next time, y'all take it easy. Peace.